Good morning. You're really welcome to this Sunday practice. So let's take a comfortable seat. If you've got a little something to sit on, I use one of these foam yoga props, but a book will work, a cushion will work, but something that supports the pelvis a little bit. And then in terms of how high you should have it, really that is going to be different for all of us. So it's important to play with the height. And you want to find enough height that you're able to support the lower back. So what we're trying to do is bring the pelvis into a position in which it becomes a healthy foundation for our lumbar, our lower back. And then that again becomes foundation for the thoracic spine and so on. Quite often, as we're moving around the world and the ways in which we've learned to inhabit our bodies, the opposite is happening. Where the pelvis, because it's slightly off, becomes a drag or a weight that pulls on the lower back. And then the lower back gets annoyed because it's not only supporting the pelvis, but the tendency as well is we're overly stuck in our thoracic rib cage area, and that becomes a dead weight onto the lower back as well. Through our practice, we're interested in remedying these idiosyncrasies, these patternings in the body, and coming back to a more original template, that there is a deep order to the way in which our bodies are designed to work, and we're exploring that. So this process, this practice is very much a process and a practice of revelation, of revealing what is already in there. The idea that our bodies, in terms of how they support us, how we inhabit them, equally how we experience emotions, what moves through us psychologically, the idea of our energetic form, the perfection of our being is in there all of the time. You know, the idea that there is a deep peace that is resident through our entire lives, that we are never separate from it. And yet, do we feel it all the time? Of course not. So there are layers that we then begin to identify with, and you know, we can do all kinds of stories around those layers. We become those layers. They envelop us, they overwhelm us, all of these, you know, we've all got our own versions, up days and down days. Our practice is exploring how we begin to meet these places in a way in which we can see them a little bit more clearly. In that we're trying to recognize that in one sense, and you know, this isn't always accessible, but in one sense, those difficult places, be it in our physical body, the uncomfortable, the tight, the restricted, emotionally, psychologically, those difficult places are neither good nor bad. And this is tricky for the mind to try to have a sense of, because of course, you know, usually we experience pain or discomfort and we want to run away from it. We have a very clear idea that this is not good, we don't want it in our lives. We're playing with the idea of meeting what's there in such a way that we're fostering an air or a quality of acceptance around it. So for most of us, this goes hugely against our deep belief structures. But in running away from or pushing away from or resisting, and of course those processes are absolutely fine because they're part of the experience for a lot of us. But what we're playing with is the idea of meeting these places and just letting them be. And just seeing what begins to happen as we develop this capacity or we play with this possibility. And in the beginning, that's all we need to do is open to the idea, to the possibility of meeting what's uncomfortable or difficult in a different way. Just exploring. And the truth is, really, you know, our modern society and us as part of that modern society, you could say that our society is quietly traumatized. That we live at such a frenetic rate and so often, in a sense, so disconnected from that deeper stillness within us, that our nervous systems are wound really tightly. And a few different things happen for us depending on where we are in our lives. One is we're not aware of it at all. That we're distracting ourselves so proficiently. And of course our society is so orchestrated toward that distraction that we're not aware of it, and we carry on. But if we stop for a moment, it gets very uncomfortable. Or there's that niggling sense of unfulfillment, something missing. The other option is that we're very clearly with it. We're with it. Maybe we're with it in terms of physical pain. Maybe we have an inherent physical pain that continually speaks to us. It might be something that is there all the time. It might be something that comes and goes. But it's there and we're aware of it as being there. So the invitation of our practice is how we meet those places. So again, either a quality of numbness around what we're carrying, a disconnect, and it's just a protective mechanism, a protective structure, and that's perfectly normal, and in fact it's perfectly appropriate for times in our lives. But if you're here and you're watching this and you're in the space to begin to practice, then there is an implicit intention happening somewhere inside of you that is asking to meet yourself in a different way, to explore yourself in a different way. And it's opening to the possibility that our experience of ourselves, our experience of life, could be richer. And ultimately, and most often, we're invited or even pushed into this place because we feel that there is something off. We get to a point of discomfort, quiet or loud, in which part of us is yearning for a different way of doing things, a different way of seeing, different way of experiencing. And really this is what our practice is all about. This is what our practice is really interested in. Not forcing, not straining, but just quietly exploring what's here. Now we're going to move slowly. We're going to do a lot of work with our breath. The reason I move slowly is because it's uncomfortable. So quite often with these practices, people move fast, and that's great. And if that's what you want to do, do that. But this slower movement is an invitation to go into the quieter spaces and explore what's there. It's a way of meeting ourselves more fully and is the perfect complement to anything else you might do. But it does require a kind discipline. Again, it's not about forcing, it's not about straining, but it is about meeting ourselves. And all of us, pretty much, in my experience, we carry places within us that are just uncomfortable to be with. Parts of us that we just don't want to feel into. Old wounds, stuff we've brought into this life, traumas. So I invite you, take a seat, close your eyes, and notice your breath. If you can, breathe through the nose, but I want you to breathe naturally and normally. So without changing the breath, other than we're breathing through the nose, if that's available. As we move through the practice, if at any point, for any reason, it becomes too much for you, if it feels too difficult, just take a break. Every breath you take, every moment you're with this practice, with your practice, is a moment in which, in a sense, you could say you're healing yourself. Even though we could have a discussion around the idea that there's nothing that needs to be healed. But the idea of supporting ourselves, of self-care, self-kindness, self-love, these are all aspects, parts of ourselves that we're revealing. Our deepest self loves us, loves ourselves unconditionally. That is there, that is inherent. We're just uncovering it. We're seeing, can we connect to it? Seeing, exploring movement in that direction. Notice your breath. And then I want you really comfortably, really easily, and really slowly to deepen your breath. So don't go to the deepest breath you can take, just go a little bit deeper. And see, as you work with the breath in this way, can you create a uniformity to the inhale and the exhale? So it's almost as if those two parts of the breath make one circle. They like make a whole. Inhale, exhale. The breath is super slow and super steady. So if peace, the Buddhists talk about the ground of being, that bottom floor, that deepest space within us, if this place is aligned to the frequency of peace, we're working with the breath in such a way that it's promoting this rebalancing of the nervous system. It stands to reason whatever might be at a different frequency, at a different vibration within us, will come up. The process of releasing that cathartic quality is to allow whatever is in there, whatever we don't need to carry around, whatever's been weighing us down, keeping us stuck, it'll come up and be felt as it releases, as it moves through us. And the game is, as you practice, just let that happen. If you find the mind gets caught up on something that's moving through you, just come back to the breath. Just practice letting it be there. And nature has a deep order to it. Nature knows what it's doing. Nature is designed to rebalance, to bring back into harmony. Base program. So as you observe the breath, you're beginning to calm the nervous system. And then whatever's in the container of your being that might be agitated or stuck, or it'll begin to move a little. And somewhere in the back of your awareness, you know that this is just moving through you to be released. As uncomfortable feelings arise, they're just feelings moving through you. In one sense, they have very little to do with you. And you are actively participating in this process of revelation. Let the breath become a little deeper if that feels comfortably available. Stay with this breath. Now at the top of the next inhalation, I want you to pause for a moment and then continue the breath. So just at the top of the inhalation. Little pause. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath. Is it possible to lengthen that pause at the top of the inhalation? And then could you possibly introduce a pause at the end of the exhalation? But most importantly, the breath remains comfortable. You're not straining. And then let the breath come back to its natural rhythm. And we will slowly open our eyes. Okay. First thing we're going to do, hold the rib cage, hands on the ribs. I'm holding the lower ribs. I've got my fingers at the front, my thumbs at the back. So do the best you can. If it's too much of a strain, you can have the hands on the front of the ribs. But I want you, if possible, to hold the ring of the ribs. So the thumbs are at the back, fingers are at the front, and the three sides of the ribs, the front, the side, and the backs, are under the hands, so you get to really feel them as you move. We begin to take some deeper breaths again, but the focus is around what you're holding. Feel the movement of the ribs. And as you continue to take these deeper breaths, can you create a movement that feels uniform underneath your hands? So all parts are moving like one piece, one pulsation, inhaling, expanding, exhaling, contracting. And just get into the feeling, the uniform movement, the rhythm, the integrated movement. You'll notice maybe that the front wants to move faster. The front tends to be more mobile because we move it more. We tend to inhabit the front of our bodies more. Our practice is this idea of inhabiting our body evenly. Our consciousness, our awareness, moving through the cells of the body, moving through the tissue of the body, and creating movements that are, again, are uniformed, integrated and inclusive. So if one part of us is disconnected, the whole system is going to be slightly off. And of course, that's the way more or less all of us live our lives. But then we have these type of practices, formal practices like this, and then informal, like being in nature or going for a swim in the sea, or all of these other ways in which we explore things coming back into uniformed, integrated movement, inhabiting our bodies, our beings, our physical, our mental, our emotional, our energetic bodies in a way that is more balanced, more in harmony. And things just begin to function in a way that will promote more ease, more health, more of a sense of well-being, because we're designed to be here and have a life that has well-being as part of what we experience. To know well-being. As you feel the ribs this time, lift the ribs. Pull one side up and then the other, just exploring not only the widening of the rib cage, but also the idea of the length between the hips and the shoulders. Big breaths. Stay with the breath. Now, notice the weight is even in the hips. You're not leaning to one side or the other. We're going to try to keep that as you lean over toward the left. So you're not bringing the weight of the pelvis over. Just opening up the right side a little bit more. And then whatever is revealed through these different positions, that's where your attention is asked to go. This is the beautiful thing about these practices, is that they bring us into a feeling of where we're a bit stuck or a bit disconnected, and you breathe into them. You breathe life back into them. Wakes them up. Come back through center, feel the ribs, lift the ribs, go to the second side. Again, you're breathing into what you're meeting. And maybe you're connected to the longer side, but maybe the shorter side is a little uncomfortable. Breathe into that. Come back through center, wait till you fill and lift the ribs again, first side. Perfect. Fill it up, come on back, and then to the second side. Stay with the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Perfect. We come back through center again. Okay. So we're filling the ribs up. We're lifting the ribs up. Bring the right hand down to the floor, even if it's just the fingertips. So I don't want you to drop over quite yet. Fill the ribs. So even just the side you're holding, feel it filling up. And then begin to arc in the direction of that hand that's on the floor. So the hand on the floor might come all the way down as you arc over, and you can use it as part of your foundation. So again, you're not leaning in the hips, just opening up from the pelvis all the way up through the side of the rib cage, side of the torso. And then enjoy. Wherever you're noticing tightness, breathe into it. For most of us, the tendency is the front body, belly, sternum, tends to want to drop. So the idea of lifting, lengthening, almost like the upper body leans back a little. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll come all the way back. Now, just release the two hands, close the eyes for a moment. Take a few comfortably deeper breaths. Notice the difference on the two sides. So the lightness on that side that we lengthen now, tune into that, be aware of that. And that lightness was always there, it was just covered up by a density that you're now shedding. So hold the two sides of the ribs, fill them up. Bring the other hand lightly to the floor, begin to lean in that direction. Go to whatever feels available, and then enjoy the breath. Breathe into what you're meaning. Breathe 5, 4, 3, breathe 2, 1. Nice work, and we'll come back again. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so we're going to extend the two legs forward. We're going to keep a bend in the knees. Feet are about hip distance. They might be slightly wider than the hips. Okay. First thing is, I want you to lean over to the left side so the right hand can slide underneath the base of the right glute. Just scoop the flesh of the buttocks backwards. Do the same with the other side. Scoop the flesh of the buttocks back. It helps a little movement in the pelvis that begins to support the lower back a little bit more fully. Okay, push the heels into the floor without moving your feet. See, can you pull them towards you? Take the hands to the outside of the knees and push the legs into the hands without moving them. Just press them apart. So the heels are pulling toward you. The knees are pressing apart. Sit up now. Close the eyes. Breathe. Breathe. And then open the eyes. So we're going to try to stay long in the front of the body, not collapse. And then bring the left foot a little closer, two hands around the left shin, top of the left shin. So as you hold the shin, it's a little easier to sit up. You can use the arms as a way of supporting that. Deep breath into the ribs. Think of the rib cage like a balloon. So as you fill the balloon, it becomes more buoyant. That helps decompress the vertebrae, support the spine. Even take one hand to the lower back. Just feel the lower back. We're trying to create or maintain that arch in the lower back as best we can. Okay, so I'm going to keep, I've got my left knee, my left foot in. I'm going to keep my right hand on the shin. I'm going to take my left fingers to the floor, just behind the body. Deep breath into the ribs. I'm going to twist a little in the direction of this bent knee toward the left leg. Whatever feels available. I'm not cranking around or forcing, just a little twist. And I just take some breaths in this space. Inhaling and exhaling. Throat open, a sense of the sternum is long and lifted. Every breath breathing into whatever tightness might be there. Breathe 3. Breathe 2. And then I want you to inhale your way back. It just helps maintain some length. We'll change sides. Again, as you hold the shin, lift up. Deep breath in the ribs. I'll keep the right hand on the left knee. I'll take the left fingers, or the other way around. So left hand stays on the right leg. Right fingers behind you. And we twist. Again, I'm trying to keep that sense of length to maintain the curvature, the healthy curvature of the spine as I twist. And again, it's not about how deep you can go, but how sensitively you can inhabit these positions. Breathe. Breathe 3. Breathe 2. Breathe 1. Okay, let's come back. First side again. Don't bring the left foot in too close. I want you to keep a little bit of space. So let's say it's about a foot away. The heel's about a foot away from the base of the pelvis. Now, the toes and the 2 feet curl downward. Without moving the feet, you're pulling both of them towards you. As you do that, you'll notice it's a little easier to sit up. So your foundation is becoming stronger, and as the foundation, the roots go down, that sense of freedom and rising up becomes more available. Breathe into that. Keep the right hand on the knee, take the left fingers to the floor behind you. Again, we'll twist a little to the left towards the closer leg. Breathe. Keep the work through the feet and legs. Long, steady breath. Breathe into the tightest places. Breathe 3. Breathe 2. Inhale, come back through center. Again, we're going to try to maintain the buoyancy as we change the legs. Hold the top shin. Work the 2 feet. So it's the heel of the extended foot that's on the floor and pushing down. It's the toes of the closer foot that are doing the work. Okay, you're pulling the feet towards you, letting that support your lengthening through the body. We'll keep the left hand on the leg, take the right fingers behind for a little bit of support behind us, and enjoy the twist. Breathe into what you're meeting. And breathe 5, 4, 3, 2. Perfect. Inhale, come back through center. We're going to transition onto our knees. So high on the knees. Knees are about hip distance apart, feet are about hip distance apart. The tendency with the feet is the ankles, the outer ankles tend to be weak and sickle, which will drop the heels apart and the big toes collapse in toward each other. I want you to have a feel of the feet, like tune into them, spread the toes as if you're trying to get the little toes to kind of splay away from each other. And that'll create an engagement through the outer ankle and the outer shin. So you feel that tone. And we see, can we sustain that tone? Now, hands to the base of the glutes. Very simple. We're going to take the pelvis back about halfway toward the feet, but the part we're holding will make the first movement. So we're trying to feel the pelvis press back toward the heels, and then we come up. The gaze stays forward. We're maintaining space in the belly and the chest. And we're just moving in this way. Keep the feet active. Even the idea of the top of the feet and toes are anchored into the floor. And breathe. Breathe as you move. Gaze stays forward. Stay with the breath. Breathe. So as you come up, close the eyes, release the hands, let the feet relax, let the belly relax. Notice the breath. Perfect. And then let the pelvis go back and the hands come down, so we're on hands and knees. And then very simple, close your eyes. Let the hips sway a little. Let the lower back belly soften. Notice if there's tightness in the back that's becoming evident. Could you breathe into that space to encourage an expanding of the tissue and a separating of the bones? At the same time as you're letting the hips sway, could you shrug a little through the shoulders? Just simple movement, feeling into the body. Inhaling and exhaling. Move in whatever way the body invites you. We'll stay on hands and knees, but if you want to move in a different way, listen to your body. Inhaling and exhaling. You know, often we describe the body as mainly water. You know, almost 80% water. One of the strongest qualities of water is its capacity to find a way through. It meets an obstacle and it will find the path of least resistance. So as we move in these ways, we support that quality, that capacity to move through or move past obstacles that we encounter. Stay with the breath. Could you feel into the hands and fingers and grip with the fingers so the weight moves from the wrists toward the front of the hands, just to activate that part of the hands. Again, we're interested in balanced action. Bend the elbows a couple of inches to the sides. Without moving the hands, pull them toward each other. Just notice the arms engaging and the chest engaging. Can you maintain some of that? Re-straighten the arms. As you push the earth away, could you feel the broadness now between the shoulder blades? Could you even lift your neck a little higher? Not so much the head, but the neck. Without changing any of that, without moving, pull the hands backwards toward the legs. Feel what that does to the belly and the back. If somewhere gets tight in the back again, can you breathe into that space? So this is what the practice, this process of revelation is continuously asking of us. To readjust, to readjust, to readjust, to notice where is our weak point, where is our tightness, where is our resistance, and to meet it in a way that can create some opening or softening or releasing. Breathe into the tightness. So maintain all of that without moving. Push your knees apart. Feel what that brings to the body. And then as you maintain the resistance that we've created, could you also then bring some of the movement back? And it can be the slightest of movement. And we're working with these opposites, you know, this masculine and feminine, strong, steady, clear foundation, fluid, open, expansive quality. Perfect, then let things soften. Okay. The left leg lifts an inch off the mat, comes back down. Right leg, an inch off the mat, right. Left. Just really simple. Just up an inch, a millimeter, 2 inches, little bit of movement. The attention is focused on the pelvis. The idea that the pelvis lifts, the leg follows. The pelvis lifts, the leg follows. So you move the hip, the leg follows. Move the other side. Move the other side. Keep going. This movement trains your thigh bone, femur bone, to sit deeper in your hip socket. This will create much more freedom and stability in your pelvis. Next time the right leg lifts, open the knee to the side, bring it down. Other side, same thing. Can the fingers, hands work more evenly again? Stay with it. Next time the right knee goes out to the right, pause. Just hold it there for a few moments. And then bring it down, second side. Bring it down, first side. Second side. First side one more time. As the knee extends out, now extend the foot out and bend the knee, and extend and bend and extend and bend. One more. Perfect. Bring it down. Second side. Extend, bend. That's it. Let's go 4 times. Perfect. And as the knee comes down, I want you to come all the way down onto your forearms, interlace the fingers, walk the elbows together. As the elbows come in, notice the upper back, the shoulder blades, breathe into that space. The feeling of it expanding, just tune into that feeling. Try not to sink the head down toward the arms, so you're looking at the wrists. Let the belly and the lower back relax a little. So again, these deep order alignments within the body, the structure of the body, that will promote the body releasing what it doesn't need to hold in terms of tension and resistance, and bring us back in the direction of our natural template, our natural design. Okay, keep the sense of broadness in the back, separate the elbows till they're underneath the shoulders. Press the forearms down, and that will support a little bit more broadening of the shoulder blades, just to stay in that belly, lower back relaxed again. A lot of you will notice how the belly tends to want to tighten and lift. So the belly has to learn how to soften more. It's a big overworker. A few different or main reasons why that might happen. Teach it how to soften. That area of the solar plexus, also the second chakra, emotional center, emotional sexual center. So, these are areas that most of us have some restrictions or imbalances in. Overwhelming in terms of feelings, and then solar plexus, our identity of ourselves, a little skewed. Breathe into that space, let it relax, let it unravel, let it be at ease. Perfect. Okay, we're going to tuck the toes under, we're going to lift the knees up off the floor. Now we walk the feet a little closer to the arms, but a little wider apart, keep the knees bent. Press the forearms down, stay broad in the back. We're looking down at the wrists. Knees are bent. Breathe. Steady the breath. Slow, long, deep breath. Perfect. And we'll bring the two knees down. As the knees come down, just slide them back a little further. And let the hips sway a little, let the belly, lower back relax. You got it. Inhaling and exhaling. Very simple. And then we're going to come back up onto the hands. Okay, so as you come back up onto the hands, I want you to bring the two legs over to the left, lower the hips to the right, come onto the right shoulder, and then all the way over onto your back. We'll keep the two knees bent. Okay, let's take the hands to the lower belly. Just rest one hand on top of the other. Become aware of your breath. Breathe through the nose. Inhale and exhale. Feel the movement of the breath through the belly and through the hands. And then bring the two legs together. Cross the left leg over the right leg. Now, all the way over, thigh over thigh. Take the arms wide. And then slide your hips a little to the left and let the legs drop over to the right. I don't want you to force or strain. You're going to need some holding or tightness in the body. That's perfectly normal. If you feel like you want to support the legs, you could use a cushion or something to rest under that left knee And it just gives them a little bit more of an opportunity to really melt. Could you slide your left arm a little bit closer to your left ear? Just a little closer, not all the way in, but a little closer. And then as you close the eyes, just breathe into what you're meeting. Know that the body will, if you give it time, bring itself back into balance. And these positions help you meet or see maybe what's been in the way. And you don't have to do anything else other than show up. Breathe into what you're meeting. Okay, let's bring the two knees back to center. We're going to keep the left leg on top. Bring the hips over to the right and let the knees tilt toward the left. Again, you want to find a position that's balanced, so it's not all work and effort. Your capacity to rest, even though there is some work going on or some discomfort present. Think of that as the metaphor for life. Can we meet what is uncomfortable, and can we at the same moment have a quality of rest available or ease? Breathe into what you're meeting. Could you this time slide the right arm a little closer toward the right ear? Breathe into it. Perfect. We're going to bring it back to center. We'll keep the arms where they are, but we'll uncross the legs, bring the hips back to center. We're going to cross the right leg on top this time. Same direction. Hips will go a little to the right. We'll let the legs drop over toward the left. Maybe you support them. Close the eyes. Be with what's there. Breathe. Let the body settle. Okay, we'll bring the two knees back to center. So again, we're going to keep the right leg on top. We're going to move the hips over to the left and let the legs tilt over to the right. And enjoy it. Enjoy what's revealing itself. So if you lose your capacity to feel any quality of ease, you've pushed it too far. If it's all a struggle, you've pushed it too far. So we look for balance. Part of it is difficult or challenging. Part of it is allowing and easy. All of it present at the same moment. A couple more breaths here. And then we'll bring the two legs back through center, uncross, 2 feet on the floor, hips back to center. Okay, slide the right leg out along the floor. Hold the back of the left thigh with the two hands. First thing is do nothing else, just relax. So when we're going into places that are new or we anticipate a bit of challenge or difficulty, the nervous system is primed to tighten. So we give it a few moments just to put ourselves in as much ease as we can, and then we go a little deeper. Take the leg you're holding up toward the sky and just bend and extend that leg. Just bend and extend. Keep breathing, keep connected to the breath. Now extend, move the foot around. And you're just exploring, you're noticing what's here. Where's the little pockets of tight or holding? Move the toes. That's all perfect. You know, it's the experience we all have with our physical bodies. This play between contraction and freedom. Keep breathing as you notice what you're noticing. So left leg's up there, we'll keep it up. Let's take the arms wide again. And then bring the left leg over toward the right. And as you bring it over, again, whatever it is you're meeting, breathe into it. Perfect. And then we'll come all the way back. Just extend the leg out. Everything relaxes now. 2 legs extended, body heavy. Notice. Notice your body. Hold the back of the right leg with the 2 hands. Relax. Take the leg up toward the sky. Extend, bend. Extend, bend. One more. Extend, sustain, keep it, and then slowly move the foot. Explore where that connects you to, what's in there. And then keeping the leg up, let's take the arms wide and bring that right leg over toward the left. And then breathe into what it is you're meeting. Perfect. Let's bring it all the way back. 2 legs down. Whole body heavy on the earth. And you notice as the body begins to unravel, it's easier to be still in the body. That's so much of the impetus to distract ourselves, so much of the agitation we experience is because of the discomfort we're carrying around, the resistance, the blocks. So as we release them, notice the feeling in the body. Deep rest, quiet or stillness becomes much more palpable, much more experiential. And then we gain the benefits from that. So let's bend the two knees again. Okay, we're going to cross left ankle over the right thigh. We're going to move the right foot and the hips a little to the left, and we're going to drop the legs over toward the right. So we get the left ankle over the right thigh, hips move a little to the left, legs drop toward the right. If it's accessible, right hand holds left ankle or foot. If it feels like it's a struggle to get to it, don't bother. Either way, left foot stays where it is. You might find there's enough going on now and you've got a sense of the tightness in the left hip. If so, just breathe into it. Just be with it. If you want to go a little further, that top knee, that left knee begins to tilt away from your body without moving the weight in the left foot. So the left foot has the weight distributed evenly. Now again, breathe into what you're meeting. A few more breaths here. And then let the top leg relax. Just lift the left leg up and over and slowly bring yourself back. Bring the hips back. And then second side. Right ankle over left thigh. We move the hips a little to the right. We'll drop the legs over to the left. Maybe we get to hold that left foot with that right foot with the left hand. So all you got to do, or all we're doing, is revealing some of that tension, particularly through the right hip. And if you're connected to that, you breathe into it. If you feel like there's a little bit more to experience, the top knee might tilt away a little. But it's not about forcing, it's not about getting further. It's really learning to meet what's there. That's where the greatest potential lies in terms of our unraveling or our letting go or allowing. Stay with it. So I find when I naturally take a deeper breath, that's when your nervous system is shifted. You've gotten something out of this. So we let the top leg then relax. We just lift the right leg over. We'll bring us back to center. Now, very simple. Bring the hands back to the lower belly. Soles of the feet together. Two knees drop apart. If this catches, you have two choices. One is you separate the feet, you let the two knees drop in. Nice place to rest. Otherwise, with the soles of the feet together, the knees drop apart, you support the legs. You put something underneath the thighs to support them. So be comfortable, close the eyes. Notice the breath. Let the body sink. Slide one leg out, slide the other leg out. Let the feet stay a little wider than the hips. If you're happy with the hands where they are, keep them there. If you want to take the arms either side of you, feel free to do that also. Your job now is to do nothing, is to surrender. And all the work we've done bringing us to this point at which our capacity, our ability to surrender, to let go, to release, to allow, has become stronger. So as or if you notice any tension in the body, almost the idea that you could speak to that place, to the tension in that place, and give it permission to release. So let your attention come back to your breath without moving or shifting. Just noticing the breath again, being close to your breath. And then take some deeper breaths. And as you take those deeper breaths, if you feel like stretching a little, do that. And then when you're ready, bending your knees one at a time and roll over to the side, get comfortable. Get really comfortable on your side. And again, just gently become aware of the breath. Just have it in your realm of awareness. Even the most beneficial presence casts a shadow. Mythologically, having no shadow means being of another world, not being fully human, not being in or of this world. Shadow is something that must be lived with, literally, as it follows us around, obscuring the sun or the view from others. Yet we cannot use it as an excuse not to be present, nor to act, nor to affect others by our presence, no matter if the effect is sometimes, indeed, overshadowing and difficult. Nor can we use it as an excuse to run uncaring over others' concerns. To live with our shadow is to understand how human beings live at the frontier between light and dark, and to approach the central difficulty that there is no possibility of a lightened perfection in this life. That the attempt to create it is often the attempt to be held unaccountable, to be the exception, to be the one who does not have to be present or participate and therefore does not have to hurt or get hurt. To cast no shadow on others is to vacate the physical consequences of our appearance in the world. Shadow is a beautiful inverse confirmation of our incarnation. Shadow is a beautiful inverse confirmation of our incarnation. Shadow is intimated absence, almost a template of presence. It is a clue to the character of our appearance in the world. It is the intimation of the ultimate vulnerability, the dynamic of being found by others, not only through the physical body, but by its passing acts, even our darkening effect on others. Shadow makes a presence of absence. It is a clue to ourselves and to those we are with, even to the parts of ourselves not yet experienced, yet already perceived by others. Shadow is not good or bad, only inescapable. Shadow is not good or bad, only inescapable. Take your time, come to a seated position. And as you get there, be comfortable. Sit on the earth, sit on a support, sit on a chair, and then close your eyes. Notice your breath. As we did at the very beginning, can you very slowly and comfortably, incrementally begin to deepen the breath? You breathe through the nose, and our practice is cultivating this uniformity within the breath. Slow and steady. Inhale and exhale. And then let the breath return again to its natural rhythm. As we do that, we'll bring our hands together in front of the heart. As we come back into balance, any minute movement in that direction is a movement really into the heart, into the center of our being. The resonance of the heart hugely outweighs the resonance of the brain. In our Western predicament, the tendency is to be overly identified with the mind, with the brain, the problem solver and the problem creator. Our practice is this invitation to move deeper toward the core of our being. The heart is the place of love, the resonance of love, the frequency of love. So as we move our attention, our awareness, our consciousness into that space more actively, the frequency of love is allowed to permeate through our being. And with that comes healing, comes greater ease, comes a deeper, a more radical acceptance of ourselves, of each other, and of the world we live in. We ask that our practice this morning support each of us in coming home to this space of the heart, in feeling this space more fully, more easily. And we then take the hands to touch our forehead. And then our lips. And then back to the heart again. And to ourselves and to each other and to this morning. And we bow. Namaste. So thank you for sharing the practice. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. There's also a few options if you'd like to pay for the class or subscribe to a monthly subscription to these classes. You can do that at michaelryanyoga.com. And I hope you have a good day. All right. See you next time.